what was decided in meetings held today?
Thank you for having me in the studio. The meeting of today is we discuss the future of Southern Sudan and what is next after 9th July and what are we preparing from now to 9th July. So mainly it is an advocacy. It's a meeting that comes out resolving some issues for advocacy. Among the issues that we're going to do advocacy in Southern Sudan is one is urging the post-referendum negotiations which is going on. Let the two parties to the CPA or to the negotiation process, that is the NCP, the National Congress Party, which is a ruling party in the north, and the Sudan People's Liberation Movement, which is a ruling party in the south, to look firm and to take a responsibility to resolve the problem, which is part of the post-referendum before the 9th of July. And secondly, also advocating for a peaceful coexistence between the two newborn states of Sudan, at least to commit themselves to peaceful coexistence.
All right. Other issues, obviously, at this stage is how the economy of the new South Sudan will be managed, particularly issues around oil. Is there any headway as to how this is going to happen?
Yeah, recently the two parties to the CPA, that is NCP and SPLM, they have negotiations in Addis, in Ethiopia, and I think they have reached to some agreements regarding the oil and how is the oil going to be managed. Specifically, if I talk in terms of Southern Sudan economy, the oil is one of the backbone of our economy. And as from 9th July, we're going to be an independent state, we are mainly depending on the oil. Now for us in Southern Sudan, as oil is concerned and as a part of the economy, it's a question of like, how are we going to channel the pipeline of the oil from ABA or from Unity State? Where will it go? So, I think the best way that we can channel the oil for business is through Khartoum, where we take it to Port Sudan. So there's a negotiation going on that either maybe the government of Southern Sudan may pay the pipeline from Southern Sudan to the north, which is to Red Sea port, and then from there it can be exported. That is one scenario. Because currently the infrastructure in Southern Sudan, it cannot help in facilitating the oil from other routes apart from Port Sudan. For example, maybe in future we may think of Kenya, through Kenya to Mombasa, but this one is a long-term plan, which is not an immediate plan. But as on the 9th, Southern Sudan is becoming a state, we need the quickest possible way, which is through Port Sudan. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, there's lots of talk as to whether Southern Sudan should continue using the Sudanese pound or should opt for a completely new and fresh currency. What's the move on that one?
The move on that one, at the level of the government of Southern Sudan, the Council of Ministers, the Federal Council of Ministers at the level of the government of Southern Sudan have adopted the currency for South. It's called South Sudanese pounds. So we are going to use the pounds in Southern Sudan. That's the official currency that we're going to use in Southern Sudan, which is the pounds. Yeah, like the only thing is that the name of the state is adapted to it, the word South Sudanese pounds.
All right, I'll tell you why I'm asking this, because there was some concern that if you opt for a completely new currency, you have to get rid of the currency that's already in circulation. You've got to print new notes and you've got to attach a value to it. What would that value be?
I think since it is pounds, it will be within the value of the odd pounds. As you have mentioned, is the challenge is like, how do we get rid of the old pounds in circulation? And I think the Central Bank of Sudan and possibly also the Central Bank of Southern Sudan, they're going to come out with a framework of how to manage the old circles in circulation in the market, because as you said, it may affect the economy of Southern Sudan. But regarding the value, I'm quite sure the value will be the same value and it will carry the same value of the old pounds compared to dollars. Like currently it is pounds, Sudanese pounds is 2.7, 1 pound. So I think it will carry the same value.
And a final question, obviously the value will also be informed by how much the Southern Sudanese economy is growing, how much investment has flowed into the economy, and what sorts of policies a new Reserve Bank of Southern Sudan would employ on issues like inflation, for instance. Is there any clarity on what sort of framework has been adopted in that regard?
I think currently the government of Southern Sudan is working on the framework to address this issue, because inflation really is very high. Even the current pounds, which is there's an inflation rate very high. Like recently, the Central Bank of Southern Sudan have been challenging the commercial banks over the exchange rate of the pounds or charges against the pounds. So the inflation rate is really very high. And this is one of the key challenges that is challenging the economy in Southern Sudan. So I think currently the Central Bank of Southern Sudan is working out to come out with the policies and framework, and which is not yet out. I can't talk about it because it's something which yet I'm not informed about it, but they're working on it.